gentlemen, welcome to the San Francisco Conservatory of Music. My name is David Stull. I'm the president of the conservatory. This is an auspicious occasion. We are very excited to welcome all of you, but not only that, to talk about a new partnership. I will have some more to say about that in a minute, but first and foremost, I would like to introduce my colleague, Victor, who will kick us off this evening. Victor.
And I want to just have a couple brief comments, and of course thank the San Francisco Conservatory of Music for hosting us with the UCSF Memory and Aging Center in the Department of Neurology. And I also want to acknowledge a group of people that are here at the Atlantic Fellows programs. There are several Atlantic Fellows programs, and we're celebrating them today. The Atlantic Fellows for Equity in Brain Health is the program I direct, and we have a speaker tonight, Boonlee T, who's one of our fellows. But there are other Atlantic Fellows here, programs here. There's an Atlantic Fellows for Social Equity from Melbourne, addressing the challenges of social equity in indigenous populations in Australia and the area. We also have a program from George Washington University addressing health equity, Atlantic Fellows for Health Equity globally and locally, and the Atlantic Institute that's housed at Rhodes House, as well as the Atlantic Philanthropy. So a special thank you to all of you for coming out and joining us to celebrate what we were celebrating earlier today and helping us to start this new program. I want to just say a couple personal points, if it's not going to take too much time, I promise, but I've been on faculty at the Memory and Aging Center now for 15 years, and during that time, I've really witnessed a transformation in something that my mentor, Bruce Miller, has really championed, and you'll hear from Bruce tonight, linking the neurosciences to the arts. Tonight's program grew out of one of these opportunities, and what you'll hear about the story today that you'll hear was published in the journal Brain in 2007. And I think that serves as a bookmark for the journey that we're about to begin, integrating these two programs, the Conservatory of Music and the Memory and Aging Center, Department of Neurology. In 2009, Dr. Miller created what's now the Hellman Artist in Residence program in partnership with Warren Hellman and the Hellman Foundation. This program brings artists into the Memory and Aging Center, providing opportunities for our faculty and staff to interact with poets and musicians and performers and others. This creativity really has become part of our curriculum. And what I like to think is that while we're learning, we're also being nurtured. We moved into a new space in the Sandler building, and our lobby in Suite 190 became a gallery. And that gallery has art that changes every quarter, and the art is often linked to people who have had dementia, caregivers of dementia, people who work with dementia. So again, we see this kind of connection between the arts and the work we do in neuroscience. And I would say it's really the vision of that kind of growth by which we developed an interprofessional program to train doctors, nurses, poets, journalists to protect the world's aging population from threats to brain health. The Atlantic Fellows program is a global program, but it's also an interprofessional program. So, not wanting to embarrass Dr. Miller too much, I wanted to share a little bit of that history as we built this through the center, the Memory and Aging Center, and now delighted to grow this partnership with the San Francisco Conservatory of Music.
Thank you, Dr. Valcour. And Camelia, who makes everything happen, by the way. She's done a spectacular job. Camelia, thank you so much for your work on this, I must say. I can't say enough about how exciting this partnership is, because it began in the way things should begin. It began with a conversation amongst people who deeply believe in their disciplines and deeply believe in serving their communities. UCSF is, of course, a giant in the world of brain health and science and education across the board. This came together through very interesting conversations, but what became clear in these conversations is that though focus is required for us to be great at what we do, whether musicians or scientists, that in between these disciplines, if we're not spending time talking with one another, working with one another, and studying together, we lose knowledge, in effect, the comprehensive view of who we are and what we believe in. There are two quotes I would share with you. Well, one quote and one observation. There was who knows the philosopher Willard Van Orman Quine? How many of you remember Quine? Almost no one. He was at Harvard University for the early part of the 20th century and posited that any theory of knowledge had to be predicated on a theory of language because everything we know must be contained in language. Highly controversial. Nonetheless, music is a language, and there are things we know through music that we don't know through other disciplines. But what is it to know? What is it for the brain to know something? That brings me to a quote by Einstein, who said, "The theory of relativity occurred to me by intuition, and music is the driving force behind this intuition. My parents had me study the violin from the time I was 6. My new discovery is the result of musical perception." These things bring us together to cause us to realize as musicians that our awareness of what is happening in brain science, and particularly our focus has been with children. We invest tremendously here, even at the conservatory, with the neuroscientist who actually apprenticed with Dr. Miller, Indre Viscontis, who cannot join us tonight, who raves about Bruce. But I have to tell you, Indre's work is at a level of brilliance that I've not perceived in any faculty. Now we are talking about the end of life. Not only how do we begin, how do we end? How do we think about ourselves as human beings? And I think bringing these worlds together unleashes unlimited possibilities. Dr. Valcour, Dr. Miller, I can't say enough to these gentlemen because they were at the initial stages, but I also want to thank everyone involved. Just very quickly, Dr. Bruce Miller, Dr. Bill Seeley. Certainly, you're going to meet in a minute the wonderful neurologist, MD Boonley T, Dr. Victor Valcour, Joseph Young, who is going to be conducting the orchestra at the end of the program, who's the new music director of the Berkeley Symphony. You will see Joseph for the first time from the orchestra. Gloria Kim, who brought the orchestra together. Camelia Rodriguez-Sackburn, who's here. Wonderful Camelia. Molly Quinn, certainly Carmen Hart, who's done a great job, and two very special people. Katie Nicely, who's the Vice President for Advancement. Katie brought this together. We all met because of Katie Nicely, and that's Katie's genius, is she knows how to put the right people together at the right time. And finally, Nancy Bechtel, the wonderful Nancy Bechtel, who supports the conservatory, she and Joachim, led the San Francisco Symphony for many years, longtime board member, also UCSF. And Nancy's ability to cross so many boundaries to bring us together also is really important. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're at the eve of something important. Both UCSF, certainly, by the way, thank you Atlantic Philanthropies for your great support of that Global Brain Health Institute. But UCSF and the conservatory both believe in the importance of the quality of life, and that advancing the quality of human life is what we're all about. So thank you for being here. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Atlantic Fellow, Dr. Boone Lee T. Thank you.